Hello everyone, welcome to the video, and today we're going to be talking about the Ice Mage build. This is a build that revolves around the cold status effect, and honestly I found a way to really utilize this in a way that really strives in PvE scenarios as well as PvP. But before we get in the video, I would like to ask you guys to not only drop a sub, but to drop a like on the video if you like the build and you found it helpful. It would help me out a lot, and I would really appreciate it. Another thing I wanted to mention is that if you guys need any help getting any of the items for the build or need any spare runes, you can go to aoa.com and use code SERF for 3% off. I'll put the link in the description. But with that being said, let's go right into the video. So the first thing we always talk about is the gear of the build. So for this build specifically, we're using a Beastman Cold Curve Sword, and we're using a fire variant of it as well. I'll talk a little bit more about this because you actually use two cold variants for PvP, but for PvE you want to use a fire variant. We have a cold dagger in the offhand with the Bloodhound Step on it. This is just to avoid a lot of the trash spells that people will spam. Then we have the Carrion Regal Scepter for our staff. As for the fashion of the build, we have the Snow Witch's Hat, which increases our cold damage. We have the Royal Knight Armor, Banished Knight Gauntlets, and the Royal Knight Greaves. And for the talismans, we have the Graven Mask Talisman. This increases the potency of sorceries. Then we have the Shard of Alexander, which greatly boosts the attack power of skills. This one can be substituted out. Next up, we have the Magic Scorpion Charm. This one increases our magic attack. And last but not least, we have the Ritual Sword Talisman, which increases attack power when at maximum HP. For our Flask of Wondrous Physic, we have the Opaline Bubble tier and the Magic Shroud and Crack tier. Now for the stats of the build, we are level 150. We have 45 Vigor, 35 Mind, 30 Endurance, 16 Strength, 16 Dexterity, 70 Intelligence, 8 Faith, and 9 Arcane. Now we're going to take a look at the spells of the build. So the first spell that we have in the build is Terra Magica. This is going to be the main buff of the build. It is great for dealing extra damage because it gives you an extra 35%. And then after that, we have the Adula's Moonblade. This is going to be one of your main attacks that does the most damage. And after that, we have the Glintstone Ice Rag and Ronnie's Dark Moon. And then after Ronnie's Dark Moon, you can literally throw in any spell. I just threw on the ice ones just because I wanted to fit the build. However, they're not the greatest, so you can throw in whatever. You can throw in the Stars of Ruin or even some of the Glintstone spells. So one of the things I wanted to talk about the build was the difference between the two curved swords. So whenever you're in PvP situations, you want to use two frost ones. On the main frost one, I actually have the Hoarfrost Stomp. I run that on both of them, and it's a really good skill. It works very well with the Shroud of Alexander as well. It's able to proc frost and cold buildup a lot faster than any other ability. However, when you're doing PvE, I was struggling with the fact that I wasn't really able to reset the cold status effect once they had it, and that's why I went with fire on the other one. So I just used any random Ash of War that had fire on it, and all you have to do after that is just spam the L1 attack with it, and when you do that, it will automatically reset itself. It does take a little bit longer to actually be able to build up the frost enough to give them the cold status effect. However, you're able to reset it instantly once they have it, and I feel as though it's very beneficial in PvE circumstances because you're able to apply cold and then immediately take it off. Mixed with a lot of your abilities as well. If you're just spamming some of the frost abilities, they're going to get it. So you're able to just run at them, reset it, and then you can go back to casting. As you guys saw in the opening clip, I was able to destroy the octopus with like a bunch of cold status effects in a row. So they're able to immediately reset itself and you're able to apply it again. So it's actually insanely effective for PvE. However, in PvP, I noticed that whenever you were trying to apply it, it was taking a lot longer, and by the time you actually got the cold stats effect on the person, they were usually dead or you were dead. So I definitely felt as though it was more beneficial to you to have two of the cold ones, just because you can build it up much faster and you could actually use it to kill them, and it just takes a lot less time. So it's definitely more efficient to use it this way during PvP. However, if you're only a PvE guy, you only need to get the one cold and then the one fire, and this works out really well against most bosses. Does tons of damage, and overall I was very happy with the results of this build. Overall, I had a lot of fun with this build. It was pretty cool. The entire ice theme is pretty awesome. I wish they had more ice spells in the game. However, working with what we have, it's really not a bad build. And overall, like I said, I really enjoyed it. But a couple of downsides of the build would just be the fact that you have to reset the cold status effect, and if you don't, you're essentially just throwing these status effects at them and it's doing nothing. However, with the cold status effect, when it is applied, they do take 20% extra damage from all sources, so it is a nice thing to just have on them. But definitely resetting it and getting another one procced, because it does, I forget the exact percentage, it might be like around 8%, but it does a good amount of the boss's health bar, so it's definitely something that you're going to want to keep reapplying to them. But overall, that was really the only problem that I found with it, was the fact that you had to keep hitting them with a fire weapon, and we tried to minimize that problem as much as we could by making a dual curved sword setup with one being fire, because you're able to reset it a lot easier. Another thing I liked about this build was the fact that it was kind of like a hybrid caster and sword build. So it's kind of like a sword caster build, and I really liked it for that reason, because you can really do whatever kind of playstyle you want. Like if you wanted to go almost full caster, you can. You would just need to run up to the enemy, hit them once with your fire attack, and then move away. Or if you wanted to go with a more close range approach, you can easily use the curved swords. They do incredible damage, and you're able to proc that frost and reset it immediately while hitting them. So it's definitely a good build no matter what playstyle you want to run, and I think you guys should definitely try it out if you were curious about how good frost builds can be. So that being said, that's pretty much it for today's video. So if you guys like the build, make sure to drop a like and sub to the channel and make regular build videos. But that's pretty much it for today. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time.